What's going on, everybody? It is overreaction time once again. I'm your host, Simon Samano, and we are coming out of UFC 319. And look who we got with us this week. It is none other than the fabulous Farah Hannoun. Farah, what's good? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm always excited when you're on the show. You know that.
I appreciate it. Happy to be here.
All right, Farah, we're not going to waste any time, and we're going to jump right into this stuff. So you ready to get this thing going?
Let's get the ball rolling.
All right, Kamikaze, you know what time it is. Hit it.
I mean, guys, what are you fucking? Is this tonight's stupid question night? Are you guys that fucking stupid? You can't be that fucking stupid. Who gives a shit? One of the dumbest things I've ever read in my life. Fucking common sense. Everybody knows that.
All right, Farah, here we go. Let's get it going. Let's talk now about UFC 319, and you know we are starting at the very top of the card, where Khamzat Chimaev, one-way traffic for 25 minutes, absolutely dominates Dricus du Plessis, 50-44 across the board. The fight was absolutely never in question, I guess, unless you maybe wanted to count those last 2 minutes when there was a brief mount situation. But really, though, this was domination like we've never seen from a challenger, or at least I can't remember ever seeing from a challenger, Farah. So impressed with what we just saw. Utterly impressed with what we've seen from Khamzat Chimaev. I have said before that his title reign was inevitable, and now that his title reign is here, Farah, I'm going to go ahead and hit you with this. Khamzat Chimaev is going to rule the UFC middleweight division for the next 5 years.
Oh yeah, you know I can't say that's an overreaction. I mean, you're talking to the person that's been highly touting him since before he was in the UFC. My little gloating session this week. I'm not one to gloat, and I probably won't ever again. But yeah, I mean, Khamzat, I always felt like it was inevitable for him, destined for greatness. I always felt like that he could go out there and do this to anybody and everybody. And for him, you know, look, DDP was supposed to be a very tough test for him. Yeah, he's not the best striker, not the best grappler, not the best jiu-jitsu guy, but he's a fighter. That's one thing I always said about DDP, and that's what the threat was to Khamzat Chimaev, right? It was someone who can fight till the end, has the cardio to push you, never gives up, which we kind of saw that from DDP as well. Like, granted, he did get dominated. He didn't give up to end the fight in mount position. Like, that's not a visual you would have expected to see, right? He did get dominated, but at the end of the day, he's a guy who doesn't quit. But for Khamzat to answer all those questions, the cardio questions, and listen, everybody hating about, yeah, he didn't get the finish. Guys, he has to pace himself. That was the big question mark, right? I'm sure it played in his mind. Of course it played in his mind because he went to work with Sam Calavita. He knows that this has been a bit of a chink in his armor in the Gilbert Burns fight, in the Khamzat Chimaev, the Kamaru Usman fight, and those were 3-round fights. He's going into a championship fight against a big, strong middleweight that has a never quit, never die attitude. He has to pace himself. So if he aggressively chases submissions, first off, you risk losing position. Second of all, he might gas himself out. So I thought it was a perfect performance. A lot of people are just hating. And yeah, to show that you can go 25 minutes and dominate a guy in Dricus du Plessis who has proven to be a problem for the rest of the middleweight division, how can you not think that he's going to dominate the division? And even when you look at the top players at 185 pounds, who can give him a threat? Yeah, who can threaten him? Who can?
Please
yeah, but that's the answer that people are throwing around right now is Reinier de Ridder. And why are they throwing Reinier de Ridder? It's the awkwardness, because that's kind of what it's going to take. That's what people thought for DDP, right? Because he's so awkward that you don't know what he's going to expect. Whereas the rest of the fighters a little bit more traditional, where with Fluffy Hernandez, he's got that aggressive pace, cardio, good boxing. But again, I feel like Khamzat Chimaev can take anybody down and do that to absolutely anybody, because all those attributes go out of the window when you're on your back against Khamzat Chimaev. Yep.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel like Khamzat has that mental edge going into all these fights. I know these guys talk big, all right? I get it. But he's got the mental edge. I thought there was I'll give a shout out to Chuck Mindenhall from Uncrowned, wrote a column, and I believe the headline was something along the lines of Khamzat Chimaev has been the boogeyman, and now he's about to be a tyrant as UFC champion. I mean, really, he is about to rule the division. I mean, he can do this to anybody. 12 takedowns against DDP. How many crucifixes, Farah? 3 crucifixes? 3 separate times? Was it more than that? 21. I don't know. I lost track. And, you know, the thing is, Fana, the thing about the finish, about not finishing, you tell me what you think. I kind of feel like it wasn't just a matter of pacing, right? Because he did train with Sam Calavita, and the pacing was going to be part of this, but I felt like he was intentionally playing with his food.
You could say that, and I do want to give credit to DDP as well, because he was playing it very safe. I think instead of working so much and trying, because you have to understand, like, if he's going to try to get up, he's going to leave his neck exposed, right? Like Khamzat, I know he's always attacking for the rear naked choke, but he's got a darts choke. Like, this guy will grab you, like, and overpower you regardless of what position you're in. So DDP, I think, was playing it safe. He had his head tucked in the entire time, just trying to not get finished, because that's what Khamzat Chimaev has done pretty much to everybody else. So I think DDP did a good job of avoiding getting caught in anything, but at the same time, didn't really focus on getting up. He needed to take a little bit more risks. Khamzat looked like he could do this all day. So I think for him, criticize him, boo him, say it was boring. That's ridiculous. That's hating. How can you not appreciate? How can you not appreciate dominance like that, especially to a guy like DDP? Who, like, and most pundits, fighters, fellow fighters and stuff, they weren't really picking a win. Maybe Kamaru Usman was the only one who picked him out of like the prominent fighters. All of them were picking DDP, and all of them were breaking it down the exact same way. If he has to finish him early, or he's in trouble.
And he just proved the point. I guarantee, I bet you anything, Khamzat saw all that, and this was just to prove a point. To prove a point, to drag him into deep waters for 25 minutes was crazy.
DDP got tired. I said this from the beginning. I said both guys are going to get tired. I said that. I said, because the thing is, I mean, DDP didn't show a crazy amount of resistance, which is why that helps Khamzat keep. Because if DDP was fending off a lot of those takedowns, I'm sure we would have seen Khamzat slow down a little bit, but it was one-way traffic. And DDP got tired. He just,
Yeah, you knew it was over. DDP shaking his head like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. I think it was after the third round, maybe might have been the fourth round, where he's just like, I'm out of answers. I'm out of answers. I don't know what to do with this guy, you know? Shaking his head. It was just, it was quite the visual from the champ, because I did not expect to see anything like that from DDP. I will just bring it back full circle, Fada, one more time to my overreaction that you don't think is an overreaction. Thank you very much. For anybody who does think it's an overreaction, I would just like to highlight Khamzat has won in any capacity throughout his first 5 years in the UFC, right? He has won those close fights against Gilbert Burns and against Kamaru Usman. And he has absolutely dominated DDP and quickly steamrolled through Rob Whittaker. He has run everything. This isn't like I'm saying this and he hasn't been tested. He's been tested. He will be able to win however the fight, plays out. He will be able to win however, and that's why I feel confident about this 5 years. And the thing about the 5 years, Fada, we're talking about now eclipsing Adesanya's, I believe it was 5 consecutive title defenses at middleweight, 5 title defenses. And maybe we're even talking about, will he get to Anderson Silva's 10 middleweight title defenses? Listen, Anderson Silva was 31 years old when he became the middleweight champion, and then spent nearly the next 7 years defending that belt 10 times. He had some light heavyweight fights in between there. And that was as a striker. That was as a striking specialist, right? Where your speed and quickness really comes into play. This Chimaev, he's a wrestler. This is more friendly to him as he gets older. He still has this way of taking you down, and granting a wrestling is more favorable as you get older. Final thought to you.
But let's be real. If Pereira beats Ankalaev, we know what Chimaev's doing. That's the problem with the day and age we are in now in the UFC.
You're the one not advocating, but I can't believe you're the one saying it.
I'm not advocating. No, absolutely not. I did not want Islam Makhachev moving up to welterweight. I did not want Ilya Topuria. I am so against this. I'm dying for a champion to just stay, defend his title, like what Alexander Pantoja is doing. Although granted, he's slightly entertaining Merab now. It's like, why? Stop interviewing Pantoja. Let him do his thing.
Oh my goodness. All right. Let's move on. I don't want to even entertain the idea of him moving up, but we'll see what happens next month when the Pereira Ankalaev fights. But let's move on now. But let's not really move on, because I want to keep talking about Khamzat Chimaev. Okay, just a little bit more, because I got one more thing I want to say about Khamzat Chimaev. All right, and I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not going to set this up. I'm just going to come out and say it, Fada. All right. Khamzat Chimaev is already better than Khabib Nurmagomedov ever was.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Okay. Well,
Ooh.
Khamzat's my guy. You know Khamzat's my guy. Khamzat's my guy. Now, if we're talking about well-roundedness, if you break down skill, because obviously a lot of people talked about Khabib's striking not being all there. Never really needed to use it because he's got great IQ and understands what he needs to do. I know he kind of did with Iaquinta before taking down, and Iaquinta showed good takedown defense. But look, skill for skill, I would say Khamzat maybe like when you put everything together. But Khabib's dominance, I don't know. Like, I'm going to have to see more from Khamzat in terms of the upper echelon. Like, the next couple of fights are going to be very, very important in terms of if he sticks around at middleweight and fights the next guy in line, the next guy in line, next guy in line, like we saw, because Khabib's run before he retired was crazy. Like the finishes of McGregor, Poirier, and Gaethje when they were in their prime. Seeing that was incredible. And I know people are going to criticize Khamzat's performance because he didn't get the finish or didn't like really dominate like Khabib was doing. But that's one fight that Khamzat didn't do that. Like, people need to chill. Like, they forget everything else that Khamzat Chimaev has done and act like this is the first time he fights.
Yeah.
But yeah, which is why I'm going to pause. So maybe I'll call it an overreaction because I'm going to pause. I need to see a little bit more. And this is coming from like the biggest Khamzat Chimaev fan ever.
Wow. I'm surprised, Farah. I really thought you were going to agree with me on this one too.
Well, I need to see a little bit more. Can he be? Yes. And I'm talking about like if you're looking at the overall skills and stuff, I'm not gonna call someone crazy.
Do you not think that Khamzat already has a more impressive resume than Khabib?
Okay.
UFC resume?
Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, but people are gonna put asterisks. That's what people do, right? Like Kamaru Usman.
I mean, sure. You're not people. I'm asking you though, Father. Yeah. He beat Gilbert Burns, Kevin Holland, Kamaru Usman, Robert Whittaker, Dricus Duplessis. That's 2 former champions that he defeated, plus a sitting champion. Khabib beat Al Iaquinta for the lightweight title. And then
I guess that is his fault. Yeah, but yeah.
He beat Al Iaquinta for the lightweight title. And then he has his 3 title defenses, which were against Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, and of course Conor McGregor. But Conor McGregor, obviously coming off of like 3 years of not fighting in MMA, and then none of those guys are former champions except for Conor.
Okay. Maybe in this part of your statement, maybe not an overreaction. But look, I'm gonna conclude with saying this, that when it's all said and done, yes.
When it's all said and done, okay. We'll meet at the halfway point there. We'll meet there because it is about to happen. If you don't think that already, which I do, just watch what's going to happen over the next 5 years.
I agree. I mean, a puncher's chance is all I'm going to give anybody. Like,
yeah, I like it, Father. All right, we're almost there. We're almost eye to eye. All right, let's move on now. Let's talk about the co-main event real quick. All right, Farah? Let's talk about what happened in the co-main event between Aaron Pico, who was making his debut coming over from Bellator PFL. Man, absolutely got squashed by Lerone Murphy. An absolute devastating knockout, spinning back elbow. Wow, did not see that coming. I don't know that any of us really saw that coming. Maybe. I think Nolan King may have mentioned something about Lerone Murphy in our Slack channel. So I will give a shout out to Nolan here. But I certainly didn't see that coming. But it's a big win for Lerone Murphy, who definitely was in need of a statement. And now I'm going to go ahead and hit you with this, Farah. And I don't think this is an overreaction. Pretty sure you're going to agree with this. Lerone Murphy clearly should challenge UFC featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski next.
I'm only going to look clearly because Movsar is hurt and he pulled out of a fight. But if you're talking about the deserving contender, like let's say everybody's healthy, everybody whatever, we're just looking at it from a pure deserved standpoint, I'd still put Movsar over him. But this is a momentum sport. And Lerone Murphy, and I was saying this because I saw a lot of people before Lerone Murphy took this fight, a lot of people were like, why? Like short notice, Aaron Pico's like
this hot new.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I said. I said, look, the guy has been fighting at the apex, not getting credit. He's undefeated, constantly overlooked. If you told anybody, like, what were Lerone Murphy's last 4 wins, I guarantee you no one could name them. But I said this is a huge spot for him. It's high risk, but super high reward. And he did absolutely exactly what he needed to do. He is going to get the next title shot. Volkanovski wants to go. He wants to fight in December. I have zero problem with him getting it. But if we're looking at it from a pure resume standpoint, I think Movsar should have been next. Well, he should have never been booked against Aaron Pico. I think they should have booked him against Alexander Volkanovski from the get-go. And this is the kind of stuff that kind of annoys me because it's the same thing with Arman Tsarukyan right now. Book him against Ilya Topuria. What are we doing? Like that stuff is starting to really annoy me. So in that regard, I'll just say it's a little bit of an overreaction because I think Movsar should have been booked against Volk from the start, not against Aaron Pico. I thought that was very disrespectful to Movsar. Sure. But I have no problem with Lerone getting the title shot.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, I understand where you're coming from, but it's pretty clear that it should be him. I mean, he, for whatever, we know that Movsar got injured, had to pull out of the fight. I don't know the timeline on his return. Do you know the timeline on his return?
I don't. He's been pretty quiet about it. I thought they were going to rebook the Aaron Pico fight. That's what we were all hearing. I thought Chicago was going to be Pico and Movsar, but clearly maybe Movsar needed a little bit more time. And you know how the UFC is. They just want to get the ball
maybe he didn't want to jump right back into training camp because he didn't feel 100%. Whatever the case was, he may want a full camp uninterrupted. Got you. Whatever it is. But my point and why I say it should be clearly is because even if Movsar is healthy, I do think it should still be Lerone Murphy because whether it was just a product of circumstance or what, he jumped the line and he made the most of his opportunity. I mean, that is exactly what Lerone Murphy needed to do. This is how you get skipped. Right? You fall out of an opportunity. Somebody takes that opportunity. You do exactly what Lerone Murphy just did with a devastating spinning back elbow knockout. And then you think about the resume on top of it. Yeah, I know you mentioned, I'm sure nobody could name his last 4 wins before that, but he was on a 8 fight unbeaten streak. He had a draw back in 2019 against Zubaira Tukhugov, but
short notice debut. Yeah.
A short notice. Yeah. Like there's circumstances behind that to consider. But aside from that draw, he had won 8 fights in a row. Then you put this exclamation point. This is the exclamation point on that winning streak. That's how you get a title shot.
Yeah, you step up for the company, you're going to get rewarded. It's simple as that. And it was a co-main event spot. It was a big spot. Obviously, the UFC putting a lot of stock in Aaron Pico. I don't know if Aaron Pico is going to be one of your next topics. You can stop me here if he is, but I just...
No, I'll just stop. Well, I will just ask you this. I was not going to make him a topic. What I was going to ask you, what do you feel about Aaron Pico? We'll close this segment out here real quick. Aaron Pico, what do you feel about him coming out of this fight? Do you feel like he rebounds or it's going to be tough sledding for him in the UFC moving forward?
I think he's talented. But I just think everything was a mistake since he got signed to the UFC. Booking him against Movsar, like I know they're high on him, and I know he was like a child prodigy, standout wrestler. A lot of people felt like he could even win an Olympic gold medal. Very good boxer. He talked about wanting to box like professionally and all that stuff. But why? He's 28. This isn't a situation of MVP or Pitbull or Chandler where you need to hurry up because they're up there in age And he doesn't even have the Bellator resume. This is what I was saying. Like, say what you want about Patchy Mix and criticize him for everything he said. He talked up a big game and didn't have a good UFC debut. But Patchy Mix had the resume. He had 2 wins over Magomed Magomedov, a win over Rafael Stotts, Sergio Pettis, Kyoji Horiguchi. That's a very good resume. Yes, he was a champion. Like, this is a resume that warrants someone to be confident and say that they could go do things in the UFC. Aaron Pico never had that resume at Bellator, so why would you do that to him in the UFC? Like, I understand you're excited, and I understand that he has potential, but I think they did him a massive disservice because now, look, like, he's going to have to take some time off because of, obviously, concussion protocol and stuff. And look, he looked pretty good in the beginning of the fight, but the reality is he disrespected Lerone Murphy's power. Yeah. Like, he just went at him like Lerone Murphy was no threat, either the grappling or the striking, and he just plodded forward a little flat-footed and got caught. And you could tell Lerone was trying to time something. He threw the knee first, and then he landed the elbow. So Lerone knew what he was doing. There was no lucky shot there. He knew exactly what he was doing, timed Aaron Pico plodding forward a little recklessly because he disregarded him and didn't respect his power. So it's like, why are we rushing Aaron Pico? Why did we even do this with Aaron Pico? Why book him against Movsar? It made no sense. Now you put him against Lerone Murphy, slow your roll. I think now he's going to have to slow his roll. But why? The guy's 28. He's very talented. I still believe he can rebound. But a lot of those losses have come by knockout, which is a little bit concerning.
That's
so
the
I
tough
think,
part. That's the thing. There's on one hand, you say, okay, Aaron Pico is 28 years old. He hasn't really even reached his prime yet. He's got time to rebound. But on the flip side, you look at his resume and you look at the losses that he suffered. Knockout to Henry Corrales back in 2019. TKO by a flying knee, which was devastating against Adam Borics back in 2019. Those back-to-back fights. And that was the low point in Pico's career. We all started questioning, geez, did we all just get it wrong with this kid, right? He was 4-3 at that point. Did we all just get it wrong with him? You know, he pulled some wins together before he had the shoulder injury against Jeremy Kennedy. But then this, again, another devastating knockout. Like, you have to wonder, you know, how much he can take. You know, you don't like losing by devastating knockout that many times. That will be the big question mark for Aaron Pico. But 28 years old, he's got time. He can figure it out. Don't know if he'll be a UFC champion. Don't know if he'll be a UFC champion. But, you know, his time may not come till later on down the road. We'll see, you know. We'll see what happens with Aaron Pico. Okay, Farah, didn't have Aaron Pico on the docket, but we just talked about him anyway. And we had to talk about him. But let's move on. Let's move on now, okay? Let's go now to another fight on the main card, all right? And that was the middleweight fight between Michael Venom Page and Jared Cannonier. That fight ended with a unanimous decision victory over Jared for MVP, 29-28 across the board. I didn't see the scorecards. Did they all give Cannonier the last round? I'm guessing that's how it played out, right? Did the judges all give him
yeah.
The last round? Must have been what it was.
I actually didn't take a look either, but I think so, yeah.
Yeah, well, because for 2 rounds, I mean, it was all MVP, right? He had knocked him down twice. He had knocked him down in the first round and the second round. I thought it was an overall really impressive performance for MVP. Coming off now the middleweight victory that he had before this against Shara Bullet, right? Shara Bullet, yeah, he beat Shara Bullet before this. Bullet. Yep. You think about MVP moving from welterweight to middleweight, and I'm here to tell you, Farah, here's what I think. Middleweight MVP is a legitimate UFC title contender.
You know what? I have one issue with the statement, and I love MVP. It's just the power and the physicality of the top.
I know. I say what I say knowing that his power doesn't translate.
No, and I'm not talking about his power and his strikes, because I feel like he can dance around and outpoint anybody. Like, this guy's a problem on the feet. Like, he is, and I can understand why guys don't want to fight him. Like, it's very hard to look good against MVP. The only way you're going to look good is if you stifle him and grapple him in a maybe not so entertaining decision. And even if, let's say this was a 5-round fight with Cannonier and he had more success in rounds 4 and 5, wasn't going to be an entertaining win. You know what I mean? Logan Storley, I was there. That was not an entertaining fight. It's very hard to look good against MVP. My only concern, and I think for him constantly talking about welterweight, is the power and physicality of the upper echelon of middleweight. Like, the guy, they're all pretty good grapplers. Rainier de Ridder, Fluffy Hernandez, Imavov can grapple as well. Obviously, the champion, Khamzat Chimaev, Mohayo. Yeah, it's like, those guys can grapple, and those guys can, even DDP can grapple as well. He can impose a grapple approach, and that's what every single person is going to do to MVP. No one is going to want to stand and strike with MVP, welterweight or middleweight. Like, why? Like, why would you even stand and frustrate yourself and try to figure out this crazy puzzle that MVP is? So I just worry, and that's why I don't hate. And I asked him about his weight cut at 70, and he said, look, it's not easy, but the fact that he keeps talking about it constantly and said he's down to fight Carlos Prates in Rio in October, that means it shouldn't be that bad of a weight cut for him. But I think I understand why he keeps mentioning welterweight, because those guys at the upper echelon middleweight are bigger, stronger, and really good grapplers. And that's kind of been the little bit of a chink in MVP's armor, because had Cannonier not taking them down, that would have been an absolutely perfect performance from him. But unfortunately, you know, we saw Ian Gary take him down as well. It's always those little mistakes sometimes that can cost him. Didn't against Cannonier, but that's my only reservation, just because middleweight at the top has a lot of good grapplers.
Interesting. All right. I feel like the speed translates really well at middle. I feel like the speed
it does. It does.
At middleweight, and he's able to be more evasive and elusive than he is at welterweight. Granted, the power and his punching power will translate better at welterweight. He even called himself before the fight, he feels like he's a welterweight still fighting at middleweight. He hasn't really transitioned or become a middleweight. So I still think he recognized there's some improvement. But yes, I can understand where you're coming from. You know, with the top of
that's a good point. Well, that's a good point, because if he commits to middleweight and puts like weight on, muscle, power, all that stuff, like physically, then that could be an interesting discussion, because I'd be interested to see how he deals with the clinch work and stuff. But he keeps talking about welterweight. It seems like welterweight's on his mind. So even if his next fight ends up being booked at middleweight, because like he said, the politics at welterweight, then I don't know if he's going to ever like bulk up to the middleweight frame, because he still has welterweight in his mind. And if he does that, he'll never be able to make 170 again.
Gotcha. All right, Farah, let's see what happens with MVP. I think he's in an interesting stage in his career. I believe in him at 185, but we'll see how it plays out.
But at least he's flying the flag for Bellator. Like someone needs to. At least he's doing that.
Yeah, because Lord knows someone needs to be flying the flag for Bellator right now. All these guys that have come over have just flopped. Hey, MVP's 3-1 in his 4 fights in the UFC, and he's doing pretty well for himself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put a bow now on UFC 319. It was a heck of an event. You had the crowning of Khamzat Chimaev. We had back-to-back spinning back elbow knockouts. I mean, the 9th and 10th spinning back elbow knockouts in the history of the UFC. What are the chances we were going to see those, not just in the same event, but in back-to-back fights? You had Tim Elliott scoring a big victory for the old guys. I mean, pulled that one out of nowhere. Plus, we had a collection of exciting fights and finishes on the prelims, Farah. All that just to tell you that I think, Farah, UFC 319 will go down as the 2025 event of the year.
All right, let me process that. So we got 320 with Pereira and Ankalaev. We got 321 Abu Dhabi with Aspinall and Gans. Still don't really have a co-main event, I believe, for that.
We don't know MSG. We don't know MSG or obviously December.
Yeah, it won't be Conor or Jon Jones, don't worry.
Well, we could get Kayla versus Amanda at the end of the year.
Yeah, yes. Weili and Valentina Shevchenko.
But 319 had a little bit of everything. I mean,
yes. Yeah.
It was exciting.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say, because Khamzat Chimaev, you can easily say is top 3 stars in the UFC right now. UFC and Dana White seem to think so as well. And then considering all these amazing finishes in the co-main, and those came on the main card as well. So prominent fights from Lerone and Carlos Prates. Yeah, sure. Not an overreaction. There you go. I just have to process the.
That's it. Yeah, for sure. Listen, the spinning back elbow knockouts. How wild is that? I mean, not going to see that in one event. We saw it back-to-back fights. Like how crazy
first round
is
as
that?
well. First round. So.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! Like it was just wild. I mean, we were all blown away by the Prates finish over Jeff Neal, and then to get it right after that by Lerone Murphy. My jaw dropped twice.
No, for sure, because those things were coming before the main event that everybody was so excited for. So imagine having that to set the table. I know people booed the main event and whatnot, but let's not act like people weren't curious about the outcome of the main event. Like, it was a huge fight, in my opinion, one of the biggest fights of 2025. So because it goes back to what I was saying before, like, we're not always seeing the fights we want to see. I did not want to see Topuria and Charles Oliveira for the vacant lightweight title in the UFC 317 main event. That's just the reality of it. Right. Like, we're not everybody's jumping at Ankalaev and Pereira too. Like, some people feel like that shouldn't be the fight. Like, this was the fight people wanted to see in Pereira and DDP and Khamzat Chimaev.
And it was obviously lopsided. I will say it may be a little weird that I'm calling 319 is going to go down as the 2025 event of the year when it had a lot of booing in the main event. I want to just circle back one more time to that aspect of it. You know, with regard to Khamzat's star potential, we're about to enter the era of no pay-per-views. So, I mean, do you think that it matters whether people like him or hate him or boo him? Because there's no more like selling pay-per-views. You just tune in to watch this guy for free, or not for free, for a subscription to Paramount Plus. So does it matter? It shouldn't affect his star power, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And look, they can look at the end of the day, it's like, you're going to learn to appreciate, like, it'll take people a couple of days to process, like the haters. It'll take them a couple of days. And look, a lot of it could have been from DDP fans. Like, there are a lot of people who are DDP fans, and they didn't like, they didn't like seeing their guy dominated like that. So that's fine. Like, you're going to hate. It's natural that you're going to hate. Like, I even saw, like, when Topuria knocked out Charles Oliveira, like, people were hanging on, like, Charles Oliveira is beloved by everyone. People were being like, oh, after that one clinch, Topuria started getting tired. Like, you're gonna reach when your favorite fighter.
Guy. When it's your favorite fighter getting, I got you.
Yeah.
It's all good. That's all good. But no, what a great event. I'll be curious to see if something tops it. but I feel pretty good that with only a few months left this year, and 3 big pay-per-views, 4 big pay-per-views, I think 319 is going to hold up as the event of the year. All right, Farah, let's move on from 319 now, and let's just talk about one last thing, which actually, Farah, I would have talked about this on last week's episode of ORT, but Kamikaze made me remove it from the rundown. Take a guess what it's about. It's about Jon Jones. It's about Jon Jones, okay?
Was he just tired of...
Kamikaze's tired of Jon Jones, all right? He's tired of me talking about Jon Jones. But I was about to last week, because last week we had found out where that Dana White had said last week that he was more confident. He was more confident in booking Conor McGregor on the White House card than he was for Jon Jones. Sad face Jon Jones. He was very disappointed by hearing that, right? Anyway, now you fast forward to this past weekend. He's asked about it again, and as you know, Dana White put a percentage on it or odds on it. He said it would be 1 billion to 1 that he would book Jon Jones on the White House card. Well, Farah, I'm just going to go ahead and hit you right now with a very definitive overreaction. That's not really an overreaction about Conor McGregor and Jon Jones and the White House, which is that neither Conor McGregor nor Jon Jones has any chance to fight on the UFC White House card.
Well, first off, before I answer that question, how are you not gloating? Remember, you kept telling me on ORT that there's going to be a rift between Jones and Dana.
No, the rift, I know. I mean,
you manifested this.
I don't have to gloat. I've gloated once before on the show. That was to Danny about my Patty Pimblett, my ride or die Patty Pimblett. I don't have to gloat on this. I saw that coming from a mile away. Okay. So anyways, here we are, but go ahead.
Overreaction. I think Conor is going to fight at the White House.
You do?
I do.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You trust Conor McGregor to make?
I didn't say I trust.
You trust him to stay on the straight and narrow train and get to the fight next July? Do you know how much time there is between now and then?
For the
He's
legal,
become the president of Ireland, Farah.
Oh dear. For the legal channel to keep sparking off at our Slack. Yeah. An entire year for both Jon Jones and Conor McGregor. Yeah, I think Conor will fight at the White House.
Really? What makes you think that?
I don't know, because he's back in the testing pool. That for me is okay, step one.
Jon Jones? He's back in the testing pool as well?
Yeah, but look what Dana's saying. So it's you need to get through that hurdle. And then with Conor, it's these guys, because with Jon Jones, it has to kind of be Aspinall, right? What are we going to get? Jon Jones and Waldo Cortez Acosta? No. But with Conor, he could fight anybody. There are plenty of big names. So it's not like it's stuck to one particular guy. Whereas Jon Jones, he was the heavyweight champion. He relinquished his belt. And it's going to be Aspinall? Or if Gane beats Aspinall, is that he going to rematch Gane? Jones, the options aren't really there. Dana's calling it 1 billion to 1 odds. With Conor, it's we know why he wants to be in the White House. It's part of his presidential campaign. He's
just on he's power hungry. Conor McGregor.
Yeah, 100%. I know this. I don't even think it has anything to do with fighting for Conor. It's literally this political stuff. But I just think, considering the options for Conor McGregor are way wider, I think he could fight anybody. There are numerous big enough names like the Justin Gaethjes, the Michael Chandlers. You could throw him against anybody.
Michael Chandler doesn't even feel good about that happening at the White
That's
House.
When you know. That's when you know. Because that guy's been holding on to larger hope than.
Oh my gosh! Well, for the sake of Michael Chandler, I hope you're right, and I hope, please, for the love of God, give Michael Chandler that fight, because the dude's been just begging for it for the last, I don't even know how many years now. 3 years? Has it been 3 years now that he's been begging for that fight? Jesus, man.
The ultimate fighter, yeah. Who knows? Oh no! Well, didn't he call him out after he knocked out Dan Hooker in his debut?
No, but he was calling for it after the Tony Ferguson knockout.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that Dan Hooker was his UFC debut, so that was January 2021.
Did he immediately call for Conor? I don't remember. Did he? He probably.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Probably would. Oh my goodness.
So over 4 years.
I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember that you said Conor is going to fight at the White House. I will remember this. You will be back on the show.
I will.
When that card gets made and Conor is not on it. I'm letting
that
you know
week,
right
yeah,
now,
that week is my episode. Fun.
And if he's on it, I'll definitely give you an opportunity to be on the show as well. Okay, I'm an equal opportunity guy here. All right, you can throw it in my face, and you can gloat.
Yeah,
like you did to start this episode.
Yes.
All right, guys. Well, the time for overreacting has come to an end, sadly. Farah, thank you very much for being on the show. I always love having you on. It's always a good time.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it coming off of Khamzat's win. So yeah, perfect timing. I thought it was intentional.
100%. Had to have you on here coming out.
Okay.
Khamzat's crowning moment from day one. You told us about Khamzat. You told us. You'd seen him from the very beginning, so I had to have you. But thank you again, Farah, and thank you to everybody for watching. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I really appreciate it. We want to make ORT a special thing. We want to grow this thing. I would love to get this in front of more people's eyes. Please hit that like, hit that subscribe. And until the next time, we will see you on ORT. Dana, take it away.
MMA Junkie AI.